Hi, Matt Landsman here, board certified criminal trial attorney. I wanted to give you an overview of burglary charges in Florida. So, just so you know, burglary is an extremely serious offense in Florida. It's always a felony, and there's multiple different types of burglary charges you can face in Florida. If this is you or a loved one, though, you need to know that this is a very serious offense in Florida. So, let me give you a brief overview of the seriousness of it. Number one, uh, the lowest form of burglary is going to be a third-degree felony, which is going to be burglary of a conveyance or structure, something like that. It means a burglary going to a home or a home is going to be a second-degree felony, burglary of a dwelling, and that can be further enhanced up to a first-degree or first-degree punishable by life offense. So the penalties in Florida can go from a third-degree felony, meaning it can be up to 5 years in prison, up to a life sentence based on how serious the burglary is. So as far as seriousness goes, this is arguably one of the most serious offenses you could be accused of in Florida. So what is a burglary? A burglary of all kinds is going to be the concept of a trespass, which is entering a place without permission, combined with the intent to commit a crime inside. So, for example, burglary of a conveyance, like burglarizing a car, would be entering a vehicle without permission and with the intent to commit a crime inside that vehicle. For example, opening up an unlocked car, you open the car door, enter it, and you start rummaging through the car to find contents to steal. That would be burglary of a conveyance. So you take the same concept and it works for if you're going into like a tool shed, would be a shed, would be a structure. So entering a structure without permission, either you've been told not to enter it or it's some clearly restricted property, and then there's an intent to commit a crime therein. So the crime, though, doesn't have to be limited to theft. That's the most common thing that people think when they hear burglary is entering someplace else with the intent to commit theft. But in Florida, it doesn't have to be a theft that's intended upon entry. So that can be almost anything you can think of as can be the foundational crime that could satisfy the criminal intent of a burglary charge. So kind of coming back to the analysis of what are the different types of burglary in Florida, the first thing definition would be what is the trespass to? So that would be a conveyance, a structure, or a dwelling, and that they all have different definitions in Florida law. And then with the intent to commit a crime, and it can be any kind of crime. So that can change the degrees of the offense. Now, within the basic allegations, there are also enhancements to burglaries in Florida. So, for example, that includes during the course of the burglary, either conveyance, structure, or dwelling, was the suspect armed or become armed? That would enhance the burglary to a burglary while armed. Far more serious offense. And things like that, an enhancement like that, can take an offense from being a second-degree felony or third-degree felony up to a first-degree felony, meaning it's punishable up to 30 years in prison, or a first PBL, meaning a first punishable by life offense. For example, a burglary and with a battery, or a burglary with assault and battery, or assault or battery, is a first punishable by life offense because the crime alleged to have occurring inside the home or intending to be committed inside the home is a battery. So there doesn't have to be a theft involving a crime like that. So very quickly you can go from saying a trespass, which would be a misdemeanor, just a basic trespass, to trespassing with the intent to commit a crime inside, and all of a sudden can jump from a misdemeanor up to a first degree punishable by life felony based on what is being alleged. So these are some of the most serious offenses that can happen in Florida, and you need help immediately if you've been accused of something like this. So that's kind of the bad news for what the concepts of burglary are in Florida and how broad they are. The good thing about burglary concepts in Florida is that for every type of different offense that can be the foundation or predicate offense to make a burglary charge accusation, there's a defense for all of them as they exist. So, for example, common defenses to battery would be like self-defense. So the same concepts of self-defense that exist for that charge would also exist in many circumstances, not always, but many, for the a burglary charge with that crime as its foundation. So, for example, good faith for theft. So, if they honestly believe the goods are their own, things like that. So, self-defense, uh, good faith, alibi, mistaken identity, all of the kinds of defenses that you could normally have for charges normal charges themselves could still be applicable, and the underlying charge, whatever it is, may have its own distinct defenses that could also be applicable. But none of these things are simple, and you're going to really want somebody who knows the ins and outs of burglary itself, as well as the predicate or underlying offense as well, if you're going to be really trying to fight against charges like this. So this is just a brief overview. Every case is specific and unique, and you're going to want somebody who knows what they're doing to try to help you through it. So for any questions or concerns, call me, Matt Landsman, for you.